So another thing I really wanted to check out was the owner had mentioned the engine was built. I had mentioned that it was not built, but apparently it is. So we are gonna find out together. So I'm very excited to see what the dealio is. Let's find out. So we're gonna get the spark plug out here. Don't worry, I loosened this. It's not just loose like that. Pretty crusty, pretty crusty. Actually, looks like there's a pretty good amount of detonation on there. Let's get our investigative scope and let me get you guys set up here on the tripod. All right, so we're gonna get our super handy dandy borescope camera. We are in record. Here we go. Look at that. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Those are definitely fucking aftermarket pistons. Can we see the valves? Hold on. Those don't look like stock valves to me. I don't think those are. Guys, this is awesome news. Super awesome news. Definitely forged piston. Looks like aftermarket valves too, which is cool. People have gone fast with stock valves, but it's freaking built. Alrighty guys, we are nearing completion here. A lot of things are getting mounted where they need to be. I got the fan relay mounted. It was over here when everything was retucked. The fuse box is back in its factory location, which is a lot easier to service and maintain and do whatever you need to do. Fuel system is all done. And the wiring harness is also done. I mentioned in a previous video there. But we are pretty much nearing the first start. Pretty much just turn the key over, see what happens. So the other stuff I gotta take care of is the exhaust, get that installed. I just have the final fan wiring that I have to hook up, and the upper and lower radiator hoses. We are just about ready to fire this thing up. It should just fire up like it was parked yesterday. That's my goal with these things. So let's give it a shot. Oh yeah, it's got a clutch switch. Sounds good. yeah, the head gasket's cooked and this thing smokes like a freight train. So I start this video off with some unfortunate news. An empty radiator and a full overflow. Fortunately, I think we have some head sealing issues on this car. Tried a couple different radiator caps and still wants to push coolant out. The fan does cycle and it works, and the coolant is like, it works, but it pushes coolant out quite aggressively, even when you're just driving it around. So we're gonna be pulling the engine, and other than that, the car runs and drives really nice. So I just have to finish putting the interior back together and get this engine pulled out and rebuilt. It just smokes and the head leaks, and there's a mysterious leak coming from the back of the engine that only happens when it's running. So we're gonna go through the engine and get that all rebuilt. She's running and driving, but we have issues. The cylinder head is leaking. I believe the head gasket isn't sealing, and the coolant is pushing out quite aggressively, even before getting to operating temp. So with that, we're gonna pull some things apart and get it fixed. It also smokes quite bad when you get up to operating temp. That could be turbocharger, but I don't think it is. Most likely the valve stem seals and guides need to be addressed. And in the prior clips, when I showed the pistons, you can see that the top of the piston was just oily. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get the engine pulled and refreshed. But before I do that, I'm gonna get this thing pressure washed and cleaned so that we got a nice fresh base to start from. So I'm just gonna get the windows closed and get this thing pressure washed. out the exhaust. It just sounds gnarly. Cool. I'm gonna actually let this air dry and then okay, so got it all washed off. Got the underneath washed off a bit. Kind of de-spider this thing. I got the engine bay cleaned out, and I'm just gonna let everything dry off and get this thing yanked. So I mentioned in other videos that the engine smokes quite bad, and the overflow is pushing coolant quite considerably. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the engine and address those issues. But it starts, runs, stops, security system works.